Let's kick this off. All right. Since Jenna's not here tonight, I get the honor of introducing our judge. He did send me, his name is Brian Hoffman, and he did send me a bio. So I am going to read that to you right now. Brian started taking photos in 8th grade when he was 12 years old with a borrowed twin lens reflex camera. Throughout middle and high school, as well as college, he developed all his own photos, learning from a photographer for the Boston Globe. He had his first photo published in the local newspaper when he was in 9th grade. After college, his interest waned as he could not print his photos now. That came back when digital got good enough to compete with film, and he could take control of that again. He took a number of courses at the International Center of Photography while he worked in Manhattan and became interested in studio photography and portraiture. He started Exposure Saratoga in 2013 to try to share the cost of a studio among like-minded photographers, a very common practice in Manhattan. But never got enough members to cover the cost and closed in 2016. He opened his own studio in the Shirt Factory in Glens Falls last August and has been able to get enough clients to cover his rent, leaving him plenty of time to work on his own personal projects. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you. Okay, just as far as an introduction to my judging, the way when I see a photo, if there's usually something that just grabs me with a photo and makes me stop. I read a book once about perceptual photography, and they called it the flash of recognition. And they were doing it, writing it in terms of taking a picture. And I think this comes from Cartier-Bresson, where he would say he has a flash of recognition. He says something about the scene just grabs him. And then he has to stop and visually discern exactly what it is. And then the third step is to actually realize the picture and find a way to do what is in your head. So those are kind of the first two steps are what really kind of were the primary judging for me, is if there was some kind of flash that got me, oh, wow, that's cool. And then looking into it, if, all the details kind of still grab me, then that kind of moved up in the thing. So we can go ahead, I guess. Just a look at my method.
I'm going to mute everybody now. I think, Brian, you shouldn't mute. I made you a co-host, so.
Okay.
And you got muted. You're going to have to unmute yourself, Brian.
Okay.
There we go. All right, let's get the screen share underway here. Hold on.
Okay, we're doing general first, right?
Yep. Can everybody see that? Oops. What I wanted to see. Hold on. Hold on, I gotta fix my Lightroom here. Made a mess of it. All right. There we go. All right, start again. There we go. All right, we're going to start with the general category tonight, because that's what I have up. We have 37 images. We have 5 places, and I believe 5 honorable mentions. Oops. First up, Dawn Inspiration from Neil Shapiro.
Okay. Yeah, the first thing that I saw about was just the depth from front to back of this. And then the colors, obviously. It's there's something just a little bit dull about it, but I just love the depth, and it really does grab you pretty
good. Okay, clarification, we have 4 honorable mentions, not 5. Next up is Low Tide in Maine, Barb Lawton.
Let me find my notes. Okay. Yeah, the flash of recognition was kind of like, like a tourist, that, I could see this in a tourist guide, and it makes me want to be on vacation, which we happen to be planning to go to Maine this year, so it was kind of a good thing to see. So,
Next up is Mono Lake, Ron Hurton.
Yeah, I like the repeating forms, descending left to right. There's the whole frame is a little tilted, and that kind of jarred me. I don't know if you're trying to get the pinnacles to be some kind of form, but the horizon really should have been straightened out, and it's just a little bit hazy for me. So I'm not sure what could be done with that. I know Lightroom does have a dehaze, but that tilt kind of threw me off, as it were.
Next up is Seagull's Rock, Doug Mitchell.
Okay. Yeah, I like how sharp it is and dramatic. I like the one seagull in the foreground. There just seems to be a little bit too much rock. And you have to kind of find the one seagull to figure out that the rest of them are seagulls. So I'm wondering if a little bit of a crop, maybe that little bump on the left might have kind of brought your focus to where it should be a little bit better. But all in all, nice job.
Okay, next one's going to be a tongue twister for me. Jenna's not here, so Sadrich, Mesech, and Abednego. She's from Arizona, so she probably knows what that means.
Okay, yeah, here's a nice dramatic sky, a sunset sky. The cactuses are all a little tilting. I don't know if they just naturally grow that way. If it was my picture, I would have kind of an urge to straighten them up a little bit. It just kind of, it makes them a little more imposing. They just look like they're kind of falling down a bit. The only other thing I thought about this is it might have been interesting just do a little bit of fill flash on one of them to just brighten it up. But that might have, that might have worked, it might not, but would have been worth a try. But
okay, next up is This Way to Seattle Gum Wall, Nancy Funtner.
Well, I think we've seen this in the last couple of months. It's just very busy to me. I don't know really where I'm looking or what I'm looking at, or my eye is just wandering all over the picture. A good thing the name told me what it was I'm looking at, but it's just I can't quite see where the focus is, where the objective is.
Okay, next up is Siblings, Patricia Newhart.
I like great timing. It's just a little bit, I don't know, dull. It's lacking a little bit of, I can't quite say what, but it's just very muted, a very muted look. But it's a great timing of the shot.
Next up is Maine Bowie, Nancy Funtner.
Let's see, what did I? Yeah, I like it. It's kind of a very simple life in a simple way. It's not busy. It's just got a few items in it, and I liked that about it. It's I don't know. I mean, nothing really pops at me, but I'm not sure if it really needs to. But it's a good shot. I like it.
Next up, Hummingbird, Patricia Newhart.
Oh, this is great timing. I've tried to take hummingbirds too. It's just a little blurred, and that one pistil over on the left-hand side could have been dodged out. But great timing. Just wish it would have been a tiny bit sharper.
Okay, next up is Blue Petal Dinner, Neil Shapiro.
Now this, the first thing that hit me was the blue. So you have Blue Petal Diner, but then I look and I'm like, oh, maybe the B is the objective. So I got a little bit confused, popping between the two. I mean, it is a great macro. I like the, everything is sharp. But I was just a little bit confused about which we're looking at. If it hadn't had the name, I wouldn't have known which one is the real objective.
Next up is Sunrise Awaits, Linda Tomasulo.
It makes me want to go camping. Got my gear all ready. It's, you know, very calming, very, it just, you know, very nice picture. I can't really find much to critique about it.
Okay, next up is New Worlds of Peemaquad, Doug Mitchell.
Okay, this has, you know, really some grab to it, but then the sky, you know, I know it is a composite, and, you know, putting the moon there in a fantastic form, you know, makes it, it's not supposed to be realistic, but there's just something, the light on the lighthouse is coming from the back of the viewer, but then the light in the sky is coming towards the viewer, and it just, I don't know, it didn't quite work. Maybe a duller foreground with that kind of dramatic sky might have worked, but it's just the lighting on the lighthouse just didn't seem to match the sky.
Next up is Leaves in a Puddle, Claudia Jepodowski.
Let me see what I wrote here. Yeah, I like it. It's very kind of busy, but not in an overwhelming way. Your eye kind of like moves its way around. It's very nice. It could have used like maybe one leaf that was a little different to be kind of the focal point, and the rest are kind of supporting players in the ensemble.
Okay, next up is Reflections, Marguerite Hill.
Yeah, this took me a few seconds to kind of figure out what I was looking at. Reflections are hard, and I don't know. Overall, it just doesn't have a single a single focus to it. So I just kind of a little confused by it.
Okay, next up is Horse Stalls, Rich Schreibstein.
The first thing that got to me, this is kind of that a way to make a real life thing look miniature. And I gotta say, personally, I'm not a big fan of that. So I didn't have a great reaction when it first came up on the screen. It's executed well for what it is, but it's just not my cup of tea. So I'm sorry.
Next up is Sea, Sand, and Sky, Alina Kesey.
Yeah, this is I don't know. It's like a lot of pictures. It's well done. I'm not sure how to make it unique among other pictures, but it's just there are a lot of pictures like this. I'm wondering if that figure, he looks fully clothed, so maybe something about that would have brought more interest into it and make the figure a little more prominent in it. But I think the drama of the expanse is what you were going for, so I'm not quite sure how to approach it.
Okay, next up is October Flower, Thomas Whitmore.
I like this. It's beautiful color, perfect. You know what you're looking at. Nice focus. And it's a nice picture.
Next up is Flower 7, Dennis Johnston.
This I liked. It was a little kind of Georgia O'Keeffe, I thought. I don't know if you went to specific Photoshop techniques to make it look a little more painterly, but that was the impression I got at first. It was like a Georgia O'Keeffe homage, so I liked it.
Next up was Time for a Drink, Dan Steen.
Is another, great timing, and it's a lot of patience, and it's just very sharp. A single subject. It's a very nice picture of a bird.
Next up is Red Door in Windows Northern Ireland, Phil Olivo.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have to tell me. I could tell that was a Phil Olivo. It's nice. It's like it's part of a series, I guess, Phil. You do a lot of these, and maybe as a series it would work better, but on its own, it doesn't grab me. But if there was a series of them, well, there are a series of them, I'm pretty sure. I think it might be a much more interesting view to go through a number of them and see how this form is used in many different places in Ireland.
Next up is Ice, Thomas Whitmore.
Yeah, obviously the immediate draw of attention to the that one leaf sticking out. At first, I thought it was a bird's bill, so it took me a second to figure out exactly what I was looking at. I like that there is really only one leaf in the ice. Sometimes you get multiples of them, and I like that the one spot is peeking out. So it's nice framing, nice exposure, etc. So it's a nice picture all around.
Next up is The Falcon, Kim Koza.
Let me see, let me get my notes. Yeah, it's very nostalgic. And I liked how the tones match the subject. It's an old camera, and you've got kind of an old look to the shelf and the walls and the frame, or well, I guess that's a step or something, whatever. But the treatment really matches the subject, and I liked that. Let me see. So yeah, that's what I can say about that.
Next up is Cows in Pasture, Dennis Johnston.
Yeah, this looks like another of the trying to make it look miniature, but in this case it looks like pretty much everything is blurred. I don't see a focus area, so I just didn't it didn't grab me at all.
Okay, next up is The Lock 8 Dam, Sean Sullivan.
Yeah, drone photography is all over now, so that's a great picture of the lock, and again, might be a tourist magazine, but yeah, nice picture. I've never done any drone. I don't have a drone.
I got 3. Next up is Rusty Display, Bill Lanahan.
Okay, wait a minute. Where did I see display? Yeah, I like this. Is old cars are kind of cool. I know someone, you probably all know him as well, who does a lot of this kind of old rust, and he does HDR on them to make them really dramatic. There's just something a little lacking in kind of a punch in a real focal point. Is it the headlight, the bumper, or just the rust. So it's a nice picture, and I've taken a lot of pictures of old cars as well, and I can never get anything that really kind of grabs me either. It's just it's a hard area to really do well, I think.
Next up is Sunset on the River, Sean Sullivan.
This is nice. I mean, this also looks like the kind of miniaturization look, but again, I don't really see anything in sharp focus anywhere. And I guess what's pulling me are the birds, and so that's a nice touch, and it's a nice framing and all, but just the lack of focus seems to throw me a little bit on this one.
Next up is Awaiting Sunset, Bill Lanahan.
Yeah, I liked this. The one thing that kind of threw me is that the figures are not quite centered and not quite off far enough. They're kind of in a limbo space as far as their location. I know you didn't want to have the blind up with the sun, but they're not. I don't know. It's just something about their position that could have been a little bit thought out better.
Next up is Window Trio in Dublin, Phil Olivo.
Yeah, again, I think it's a nice shot. It says something about the location. It just doesn't, to me, it doesn't stand alone. I think it goes with all those other pictures, and that's really a better way to appreciate them, I think.
Okay, honorable mentions. First up, where did the puck go?
Yeah, I love the timing on this, and everything's sharp. There's no busy anything in the background. There are no other players to distract. The only thing that I didn't quite like is it would have been great. You can't control this. It would have been great if you saw the faces, but it is what it is. But it's a great, well-timed shot. I love it.
Next honorable mention, Wedding Still Life, Claudia Jakubowski.
Yeah, I love how sharp everything is, and just the slow drop off in the light at the edges, and the evenness through the middle of it, and the colors. I don't know if the colors could have been a little brighter, but I think the flowers themselves were originally pretty dull. They look like they're wilting already. So maybe that's the way they were, but it's a really, really nice shot.
Next honorable mention is Florida Text Messaging, Jenna Kaywood.
Yeah, I like that their postures are exactly the same. What would have been great is if you had seen her phone as well in the hand. But again, you can't. That was probably just a serendipitous shot, and if you asked them to do it over again, it wouldn't come out as nice. So yeah, I like the mirrored postures in that.
And our last honorable mention is Festive, Alina Kesey.
Yeah, I liked just those water droplets just grab you and then slowly fade in to whatever branch or cone or whatever it is that they're all sticking to. It just like I said, the flash of recognition, something just grabbed me about those droplets. I think it's beautiful.
Okay, and our winners. In fifth place, The Egg, Rich Schreibstein.
I love the sharpness of this, and kind of the even light over everything. It's funny, personally, I've never been to the Egg at night, so I don't know if this is just the way it always looks, but and I like that there aren't any, well, I guess there's one person in it, but it's not crowded. So I think it's a great picture. You should sell it to New York State.
And fourth place, Amish Joyride, Barb Lawton.
Oh, I love the one boy looking back. It reminds me of and I can't remember who did the picture, but of a bike riding away with a little boy or a girl sitting on the back, looking backwards at the camera. It's just his face just kind of makes the picture.
In third place, Trio, Larry Hill.
Yeah, I like the lighting. Being a studio, or mostly studio these days, I like studio photography. I like the bright light on the left-hand side, the little bit of fill on the right. The only thing that got me is it seems that there's a little bit of light bleeding in on the upper right on the margin. I don't know if that's just a crop thing or if that's an anomaly of what I'm seeing. And then there's something on the table. There's a little bit of a smudge or something that distracted me. So that's the only little pick I have with this, but I like the photo.
In second place, Balls, Kim Koza.
Yeah, again, this one just grabbed me. I liked the simplicity, the use of negative space above, the absolute level at the bottom. It's just really grabbed me. It does seem to be a little streaky in the background, though. I don't know if that's because of reflections from the balls from the lighting. I don't know, but it was just kind of, it grabbed me. I liked the picture. I could see it on my wall.
In first place, Multi Lilies, Linda Tomasulo.
Yeah, this again, it's very painterly. It looks like it was converted into a watercolor, but a very sharp watercolor. So again, it kind of grabbed me. And also, if it was a watercolor, the back one wouldn't be blurred. So that's kind of a difference of making it painterly. A painter wouldn't have done that. So it makes it interesting as well. Really like that one.
Congratulations to all our winners. They're great images. We're now going to move on to the monochrome category. We have 29 images, and there are 5 places and 5 honorable mentions. And we'll start with The Wonder of the Alps, Neil Shapiro.
Yeah, I like this picture. It's but it's kind of been done. I like that you have the lee side clouds forming. That's a little different from what you normally see of is that Mont Blanc or the Matterhorn? I'm never quite sure, but anyway, it's a nice picture. It's very sharp, and but it's I don't know, I've seen it before.
Okay, next up is the Grand Teton, Ron Herden.
Yeah, again, I like the dramatic sky, and it's a nice landscape picture. Nothing really jumps out at me though, so it's a nice picture.
Next up is Rockwell, Doug Mitchell.
It looks like she's an aspiring model. I like the sharpness, of very good focus on her eyes, the lighting. She's it's like the lighting is very nice. So it's a nice picture, nice portrait.
Okay, the next up is The Dark Tower, Neil Shapiro.
Yeah, I like the drama of this, but the problem to me is some of the other buildings encroaching, especially the other buildings that are as tall as it. And I think you could probably get rid of the left one easily enough. And maybe even the right one, but it just, its majesty that you're trying to capture is a little bit lost by those, or a little bit minimized or reduced. So that's the only criticism I like. I like the view. Or the vantage point, like that.
Next up is Looking Up, Nancy Funtner.
Yeah, this is, I see, I used to live in Manhattan and I used to see these all the time. And I just love when you get, what I really like is that you seem to have the same reflection on one face on each level. And then on the other side, or, the 90-degree side, kind of reflecting something different. It's kind of a very kind of arresting it. You stop and look at it for a while. So that's a good thing in a picture.
Next up is The Little Village Under the Rays, Jenna Kaywood.
Yeah, I like the Rays. That was a great timing for that. And but if it weren't for the name, I probably wouldn't even have noticed the houses down there, because my focus is so much on the mountain peaks. So the focus is a little bit, or the central point is a little bit unclear.
Hey, next up is Red Panda, Patricia Newhart.
Yeah, nice, nice close up. There's nothing kind of grabbing me about him, and he doesn't seem to be looking at the camera, or I don't know. It's a nice, cute picture. But it just didn't grab me.
Okay, next up is Pine Bush, Great Dune, Alina Kesey.
Yeah, I liked this. And I'm guessing the trees really are leaning, so that's not something that you can stand up. But yeah, I like it, but there's just something that I can't put my finger on that's not grabbing me.
Next up, Eerie Winter, Nina Kumar.
Yeah, I like this. I liked all the icicles on it. All the birds together. I don't know. Again, it's just not. I don't know, just not grabbing me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't have a better way to describe them sometimes, but.
Next up is A Father's Love, Sean Sullivan.
Yeah, this is a nice family picture. Is it artistic? I'm not sure. That pinky, hitting the frame on the bottom is kind of a, it shouldn't happen if you're really trying to get something that could stand on its own, that someone besides the people in the picture like. But it's a great relationship between the two. So it's a good timing as far as that goes.
Next up is Baby Bear, Patricia Newhart.
Yeah, this one again, it's a little dull and a little out of focus. So it didn't have anything to grab me on that one. So
Next up is Way Too Easy Rider, or Schreibstein.
I like this. I am a horrible street photographer, so anytime anyone gets a street photography that's got a little humor in it, I really appreciate it. So yeah, I like it. It's a nice shot.
Next up is Carnes on the Beach, Claudia Jakubowski.
Yeah, I love rocks. I love Carnes. But I don't know. It's just it doesn't have any relation to anything. Doesn't look like it's on the beach. So it's just, it doesn't really hold my interest.
Next up is Bruno, Marguerite Hill.
This is I mean, a great stare from the cat, but otherwise there isn't a lot of interest in the photo. And the fur doesn't seem to be terribly sharp. So there's nothing really drawing me in.
Next up is Worship, Jenna Kaywood.
Yeah, I like this. I do a lot of pictures where I try to get the things kind of emerging from fields and all. I like this, and I like the depth. I like how the colors fade out in the back because it's a hazy day. It's a really nice picture. The placement is almost centered, which makes it a little, I don't know, not quite the right place. I would move it off to the right to just, I don't know what the term is, but it just seems a little too centered, but not centered. So
Next up is Lemonade Brothers, Rich Schreibstein.
yeah, this is a nice street shot, but you only have one boy engaging with the camera. They're not engaging with each other. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to feel about these kids. They're just standing on the stoop.
Okay, next up is Lockstep, Linda Tomasulo.
Yeah, I like this, abstract of everyday objects. So it's that's what it is, and so it's a nice shot. Nice.
Next up is Foggy Coastline, Bill Lanahan.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it is a foggy coastline, but I'm not sure what I should be kind of looking at here. And maybe it's that fence up on the top in the middle. But my eye is just kind of just wandering around, not really settling on much of anything.
Next up, The Barn, Sean Sullivan.
I love barns. I have a whole series of barns. No aerials though. I like the black and white, the really high contrast black and white, a nice arrangement of the barns. It's a nice shot.
Honorable mentions. First up, 100-yard scrum, Bill Lanahan.
Okay, I was really debating about this because to me, almost the knees are distracting. And so I took it into Lightroom, or actually I just took a screenshot of it and cropped it down so that it was about 2/3 the height. And so you get those faces. The faces really become the focus and kind of cut off mid-thigh of that central runner. And that made a much more powerful image to me. So give that a try, but I really like the determined expressions on all the runners.
Next up, Baby Girl, Kim Koza.
I like this. This is, perfect, really sharp eye there. Again, being, the only thing that got me was just a little bit of, and I guess it's just babies have this, a little bit of flakiness on her cheek and that little dot on her nose that might have been cleaned up and made, improve the picture a little.
Next up is Broom, Kim Koza.
I like this. This reminded me of Dorothea Lange and who were the other WPA photographers. It just looks like a quotidian farmhouse view. So it's very nice, very reminiscent of that style, that era.
Next honorable mention is 45 Jewels, Nancy Funtner.
Yeah, I liked this. And do you own all those watches? But the only thing that distracted me a little bit was that none of the workings were on the frame edges. It's only the backs that were on the edges of the frame. It might have worked a little more strongly if one of the central watches was a little more positioned to the side. But I love the sharpness. I love the variety of things. I was watching, looking through all this over and over again. So I love it.
And our last honorable mention is a amazing ramp, Linda Tomasulo.
Oh yeah, I love this. It's one of those things that something about it grabs you before you quite figure out what it is you're looking at. So the forms, the shadows, either the straight lines, the curved lines. It's one of those things that I had to stop. I had that flash of recognition, and I had to figure out what it was that made me stop. So I like it.
Okay, and our winners in 5th place, Silverware, Alina Kesey.
Yeah, I liked this. I kept having to come back to it because at first I was like, well, why are they in suds? And then I'm like, oh, okay, they're being cleaned. And okay, well, how many times do you take a picture of something being cleaned? And so it just I started kind of filling in the blanks in my head, and there's a story behind it of what's going on. So that's what I liked about it.
Okay, in 4th place, Madison, Doug Mitchell.
This has a very, very old formal portrait style to it that made me, stop and look at it. It's very just reminiscent of almost like 19th century daguerreotypes or something. So I liked that take on it.
In 3rd place, Cold and Alone, Barb Lawton.
Yeah, I liked this, but it almost looks like two pictures. So you've got the ridge of trees, and then you've got the one lone tree. And they don't seem to relate to each other. I guess the idea you're saying is that, he's the only one that's not with his friends up there on the hill. But I love the contrast, the diagonal line kind of meandering its way from the upper left to the lower right. So it really, stopped me. That's one of those things that just grabbed me, and I had to stop and think what it was that I liked about it.
In 2nd place, Window Light, Barb Lawton.
Yeah, I'm still not sure why I like this. I love the contrast. The bright white of the shirt and the really dark wall that's behind it, the stark light coming through. There's just something that it's, I don't know, kind of a very quotidian household view of life. So it stopped me for a reason I still can't quite figure out, and that's good.
And in 1st place, Zinnia, Claudia Jagobowski.
Yeah, I like this. This again, it seemed kind of reminiscent of a, really old style photograph. I like how the focus just very gradually gets softer as you go through the flower, and the very detail in the petals itself. I guess it's not the most dynamic picture in this group, and the first 5 were somewhat somewhat random as far as which place I put them. And I put this because it's just a, I don't know, just a very well done old-fashioned looking picture.
Well, congratulations to
I
all
hope
of them.
that makes sense.
All great photographs as usual. And thank you, Brian, for your input and your judging. Everybody can unmute now if they have any questions from Brian.
Thank you, Brian. That was a nice job. It's always difficult.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes, judging is a very difficult process.
Yes, we've learned that over the years, haven't we, Sean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And this is not, you had said in January that you hadn't done much judging. Am I correct? Or is that
Oh, I've never done any judging.
okay? Well, you did a good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
Yes,
helpful.
somewhere.
I mean, I've offered critiques to individual pictures for people,
Sure.
but I've never, judged a large number like this and tried to rank them. That was the difficult part.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I've never judged. It's a tough call. I know that. Yeah, appreciate it very much. Good.
So no questions, everybody? So what do we got next week?
What is it, Linda? What's going on next week? Oh, isn't that is that with Estes? Is that the one where Estes Suarez, the
No,
Pulitzer
next
Prize?
week's the macro presentation.
It's Joe.
Oh, I wonder who's doing that, Joe. Oh, yeah. Now you
The one
have
from last year we never did.
It's
Is
it's just a small thing.
and you've won
Yeah,
2
right.
Pulitzers for that as
Boo.
well, right, Joe? Or is that
Boo.
not yet?
What's that?
Not yet. You haven't won the Pulitzers yet for the
Not even close.
macros.
Lucky for everybody, Joe forgot to submit his images, so we have some more other people.
Yes, we had enough people participating and Joe didn't walk away with it.
Yes,
Linda,
thank you.
however, I think we got to
Linda's
think
the
about
one.
We gotta get rid of Kim. We can't. We gotta.
Oh,
We
Barb
gotta.
one.
Linda
Barb
and
one.
Kim, and now Claudia's doing this a lot.
Barb.
You know, we really got to talk about that. Good, good
You're
work.
A handicap like in golf or something,
Good work. Yeah, yeah. You know what? That's a good idea. We should talk about that, Joe. Like give her a handicap. It's like let us start first. Oh, wait a minute, that doesn't work. So we just have to figure something out.
Let's
Put her
start
on.
with a numbering score.
Give her a brownie, a box brownie camera with 125 film. That would be it. All right, Linda, that's it.
That's it.
So
All right, guys.
good. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Once
See you
again,
next
Brian,
week.
thank
Joe's
you very
exciting
much.
macro presentation.
Thank you,
Yes.
Brian.
Thanks, Brian.
Thanks for the opportunity. I hope I didn't make any enemies.
Nah.
No.
We're photographers.
good.
We don't
Get it.
bruise easily.
True.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
They will.
Right.
Good night.